Bo knows overtime. Bo Horvat scores the game winner as the Islanders beat the Canadiens in OT. We'll talk about this big win and what it means for the Islanders' playoff hopes coming up next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Friday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers to FanDuel can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I'm Gil Martin. I've been covering the New York Islanders for almost 2 decades, and I wrote the book Ice Wars on the history of the Islanders' rivalry with the New York Rangers from 1972 to the modern era. So glad you could join us today to talk a little Islanders hockey. We're going to break down the Islanders' important, thrilling overtime win over the Canadiens, and we are going to look ahead to Saturday's big game against the Calgary Flames. All that coming up on today's show. I got to say, I was really nervous after the Islanders gave up the tying goal in the third period of last night's game against Montreal. Terrible play by J.G. Pageau, tried a cross-ice pass at the offensive blue line. It was easily intercepted. Breakaway for Gallagher. He scores, and the game is tied. And the momentum is clearly with the Canadiens. And you could just hear the tension in the building. And yet the Islanders regroup and manage to get the game-winning goal in overtime, which is not admittedly the Islanders' strength. But Bo Horvat comes up big and leads the Islanders to the win. And overall, look, obviously, you prefer to win a game in regulation, especially when you're up 3-1 entering the third period. That, or early in the third period, excuse me. That would have been ideal. And there are a lot of things the Islanders did right in this game, and we're going to talk about all of them. But credit to this New York Islanders team for coming back, overcoming the mistake, and winning this game in overtime. A lot of kudos to be handed out in this game. And let's start at the beginning. 2 power play goals for the New York Islanders. 2 power play goals in the same game. That doesn't happen all that often this year. We know how the power play has struggled, been at or near the bottom of the league almost all season long. And yet you get power play goals from Anthony Duclair and Simon Holmstrom. And how important is that? Because one thing we knew, and everydayers, you will remember that I mentioned it when they traded Brock Nelson, that, there were guys who needed to step up once they dealt Brock. And one of them was Anthony Duclair. We talked about Siplikov and Simon Holmstrom and Kyle Palmieri, but Anthony Duclair giving them that first goal was huge. And add to that, the primary assist on that goal goes to Anders Lee. That is the 500th career point for the Islanders captain. So congratulations to Anders Lee, a well-deserved honor, and absolutely one of those great career milestones for the captain. And to get it early in this game, which gave the Islanders a 1-0 lead, that first goal was vital. And it was great to see. And who gets the other power play goal? Simon Holmstrom. And that was outstanding. A new career high with 17 goals this year. He has a realistic shot at 20. And again, Holmstrom just playing with more confidence. And that is what you want to see. That is, I think, the next the way he takes the next step forward is to play with a little more confidence when he has the puck. And then Bo Horvat scoring 2 goals in this game. And, that first one was just a power move. Absolutely like the type of goal that a power forward scores, where he muscles his way past the defender and then ends up putting the puck past Sam Montembeault and giving the Islanders at the time a 3-1 lead. Again, there were so many key moments in this game. And for a change, the Islanders capitalized on most of them. How important was the first goal? Vital. Islanders get it. How important was it to score early in the third period when you enter that period up 2-1? Vital. The Islanders get it. And if they don't get that goal, boy, are they in trouble, because you have the controversial goal by Patrick Laine, which, again, does anybody know what goalie interference is? I don't think even the commissioner has a clue what goalie interference is going to be and when it's going to be upheld and when it's going to be overturned. But again, the goal ends up counting, and then you have the mistake that leads to the breakaway goal by Gallagher and then overtime. You lose this game in overtime, and you're not done. Like, if you lost in regulation, I think the Islanders would have been close to done. But you lose the game in overtime after having a 3-1 lead, and you're in big, big trouble. And you win this game in overtime, and you pull a point closer, and it makes a huge difference for the New York Islanders. Their confidence now with points in 4 straight games, and just being able to get the 2 points and move up in the standings is absolutely fantastic. And look, I'm not done with, handing out kudos. Pierre Engvall does not appear on the score sheet. No points. 1 shot on goal in this game. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, Pierre Engvall was a dominant force for the Islanders, but he is still doing the things that Patrick Roy is asking him to do more often than not. He had a good start, a little bit of a rough patch there, but got, back into it. And this is what he needs to do to stay in the lineup this year, and maybe even to save his job next year and not be a buyout candidate. Again, I still think maybe they should buy him out, but we'll see. If the Islanders make the playoffs and Engvall finishes strong, he may have a chance to undo the bad reputation. So, a lot of positives. 2 assists for Tony DeAngelo. He also had 4 shots on goal, 2 block shots. I mean, again, just getting the job done. And it was a lot of little things. It was just, guys getting hurt and coming back out and playing well. Noah Dobson had 2 assists. Now, he was very bad in his own zone at times in this game, but I've sort of come to this realization, to be honest with you, about Noah Dobson. The offense is back lately, okay? He has started once again to contribute on a more consistent basis on the offensive side of the game, okay? And that's what the Islanders need from him. They need him to go back and be, even if it's not the 70-point guy he was a year ago, get me to 60 points. Be a guy who's going to score a point in 3 out of every 4 games, okay? Get me a guy who is going to be out there and make a difference offensively for this hockey team. Noah Dobson is capable of doing that when he's on his game. And the thing that I've accepted is defensively, he's going to be a liability. He just is going to be a liability. It is part of his game. He will never be, in my opinion, and I'd love for him to prove me wrong, but Noah Dobson is never going to be a good or great defensive defenseman. but just don't make big mistakes. And we're still seeing a little bit of that from Dauber. So thrilled with the offense kind of coming back into form, but the defense, again, I sort of liken it to a doctor. First, do no harm. So Dauber, just go out there and keep it simple and just do your job in the defensive zone. You don't have to be overpowering. You're not going to out physical a lot of guys. You just don't make those big mistakes. And I think this team will be more than fine with Noah Dobson in the lineup. So again, Ilya Sorokin coming up huge. Do you know what the final shots on goal were in this game? Because it was very one-sided. The New York Islanders were outshot 41-25 in this game. And Sorokin came up with some really big clutch saves. Islanders got kind of fortunate. The Habs hit a crossbar in the third period. But again, that's part of the goalie's equipment. Ilya Sorokin just keeps coming up big, a .927 save percentage in this game, and some really clutch saves. And the fourth line, it just keeps clicking. Again, they don't score in this game, but they had some good shifts where they kept the puck in the zone, and they were able to at least carry play and not be back on their heels. So again, everybody, here it is. I'm going to sum it up real simply. The difference between the Islanders when they lose and the Islanders when they win, or one of the major differences, is you don't have passengers or very many passengers when they win. When they lose, you could say there were 4 or 5 guys who played really well, and there were 4 or 5 guys who were just not there in the game. Well, last night against Montreal, there were very few, if any, passengers. This team showed grit, resilience, toughness, and I have to give them credit for a clutch come from behind overtime win after 2 come from behind wins. This team is starting to click at the right time, and it's a beautiful thing to see. All right, coming up, we're going to discuss our hero and go to the game and what this win meant for the New York Islanders. We'll preview Saturday's game against the Flames, and for our Islanders' birthday of the day, a Massachusetts native who played defense for both the Rangers and the Islanders, spent 1 season on the island in 06-07. All that and more next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Did you know getting a good night's sleep is the #1 recipe for long-term success in life? I didn't. It took me way longer to realize than I'd like to admit. It was years of tossing and turning. I was always tired. I never felt like I could live up to my potential, but not anymore. Thanks to Bear Mattress. I used their sleep quiz and I matched with the Elite Hybrid. It's perfect for side sleepers like me. Now I wake up energized. I'm getting deeper sleeps and I'm ready to attack the day. No matter how you sleep, Bear Mattress has a match for you with a focus on recovery, cooling, and pressure relief to upgrade your sleep and improve your overall quality of life. Go to bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout for 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
I got to say this, and it is critical. Special teams in the NHL matter. And you look at the numbers coming into this game, the Islanders dead last on the power play, next to last on the penalty kill. It is not a coincidence that in a key game like this, the Special teams came up big. I mentioned the 2 power play goals. Yeah, they gave up 1 power play goal, but the penalty kill also had some important kills this game. And you cannot ignore the importance of special teams. If the Islanders are going to complete this comeback and make the playoffs, and it's not going to be easy for them, but if they're going to do it, rest assured the power play and the penalty kill have to play better than they have over the course of the season to keep this team going. It is just not going to happen if the special teams continue to struggle. So here we are, and it's just a huge win. And you look at the standings right now. Ottawa, still the first wild card with 77 points. Montreal, still the second wild card with 74 points. Then you have the Islanders with 72 points. The Rangers also 72 points, but they've played 2 more games than the Islanders. Columbus, 71 points. Detroit, 70. Boston, 69. It is going to be a dogfight down the stretch, but the Islanders have gotten themselves in this fight. And while they had maybe a 15% chance a week or 2 ago, they are now probably somewhere in the 40% chance range going forward. Had they won this game in regulation, they would have been even with the Montreal Canadiens. Instead, they're 2 points back. But overall, this Islanders team seems to be, once again, and we've seen them do it the last few years, getting hot at the right time and trying to sneak into the playoffs. Now, again, I do not believe that they are going to go on a long playoff run if they get there. They are most likely going to have to face the Washington Capitals in the first round if they get in. And the Capitals last night became the first team in the NHL this season to clinch a playoff berth. They have 28 more points than the Islanders right now. Okay, the Islanders have a game in hand, but that's it. You have to face Alex Ovechkin as of right now if you get in. So we'll see how this all plays out. But right now, here's what you want to do if you're the New York Islanders. You got to keep playing well, and you got to find a way to maximize your opportunities as we head down the stretch. And the schedule doesn't get easy, but the good news is the next 3 games are also at home, and that certainly helps the cause. Calgary, Columbus, Vancouver. 3 teams that are all out on the outside looking in or barely in, depending on what happens by the time they play Vancouver. But these are teams that are fighting for playoff spots, just like the Islanders. And that game against Columbus on Monday is going to be huge. But let's take it one step at a time and worry about Calgary. As far as hero and go to the game, I think this one is pretty clear. Look, hero, there are a lot of guys who could fit the description. You could certainly talk about Ilya Sorokin. You could certainly talk about, giving Anders Lee some consideration for the milestone point. 2 assists, as I said, by Dobson and D'Angelo. But to me, 2 goals, including the overtime game winner by Bo Horvat, that has to make him the Islanders' hero of this game. If you have a go to the game, a guy who kind of disappointed, I can't. I like JG Pajot, but that giveaway that led to the tying goal was the kind of play that a junior hockey player is taught not to do. And look, JG Pajot, a solid season, a solid performer. great in the face-off circle, does what he does to help this team. I like J.G. Pageau. But in this game, that particular play had disaster written all over it. As soon as that pass left his stick, I was like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. So, hero of the game, Bo Horvat. No question about that in my mind. Go to the game, J.G. Pageau, unfortunately. But thankfully, the game winner by Horvat cancels out that mistake and gets the Islanders a big point. You wanted to win in regulation, but you take the dub and you go forward. And you look at this team right now. They've won 3 in a row. They got a point in the last game against Edmonton that they lost. So they are 3-0-1, points in 4 straight. And it is just great to see. By the way, still no Alexander Romanov. He did skate in the morning, but still not feeling 100%. So Romanov did not go in this game. He was a scratch. Adam Boqvist remains out. Matt Martin was a scratch, and so was Scott Perunovich. So those are the guys who sat. And keep on going, Islanders. That's it. This team starting to play a little bit better and sticking around after everybody, including me. I'm not going to lie. I got to give them credit. I was writing them off, and they're coming back and remaining relevant. All right, we have got more to get to on today's show. We'll preview this huge game Saturday against the Flames. What will it take to beat Calgary? How can the Islanders do that? And we'll have our Islanders birthday of the day coming up next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late, watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I've been staying up late watching basketball tournaments and NHL games, and 5 Hour Energy helps keep me up the next day. With longer days, I love getting outside for a hike or a run. Tropical Burst is my go-to for a quick boost. So head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, or peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack and get it delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. So stock up today and get energized. So Saturday, Islanders, Flames, again, a home game. Next 3 are all at home. And the Flames are doing well lately. They've won their last 2 on this road trip, beating the Rangers and the Devils. So they're trying to go for the New York area sweep. And right now, the Calgary Flames are the only team entering Thursday's games who had fewer goals than the New York Islanders. They are dead last in the league in goals scored. They are 13th in the league in goals against. But the key to their success is goalie Dustin Wolf. He is 22, 14, and 5. He has 3 shutouts, a 2.62 goals against, and a 9.12 save percentage. He is their key to staying in this playoff hunt, which nobody thought they would be able to do. The Flames' power play ranks 18th in the league, but their penalty kill is vulnerable, so the Islanders' power play should have some opportunities to take advantage of that PK and maybe get some more power play goals. Jonathan Huberdeau is their leading goal scorer with 25. He and Nazem Kadri are tied for the lead with 50 points. Mackenzie Weegar has 41 points. So again, this is not a great offensive team right now, but they seem to just score enough to get the job done. Looking at the line combinations, Kadri, Connor Zary, and Martin Pospisil, that's the top line. Morgan Frost, Jonathan Huberdeau, and Matt Coronado are the second trio. Igor Sarangovich, the ex-Devils, centers Joel Farabee and Blake Coleman on the third line. And then it's Kevin Rooney, Ryan Lomberg, and Adam Klapka on the fourth line. On the blue line, Joel Hanley and Mackenzie Weegar are the top pair. Rasmus Anderson and Kevin Ball are the second pair. And on the third pair, it's Jake Bean and Daniil Miramonov. So the goalies, as I mentioned, Dustin Wolf, and then Dan Vladar is the backup. Now, in the last game against New Jersey, it was Dustin Wolf in between the pipes. No surprise there. The fact that there is no back-to-back here, even though, it was Vladar against the Rangers, Wolf against the Devils, I kind of get the feeling that Calgary will go with Wolf in this game, although we'll see. That's the end of their 4-game road trip. They don't play again until Tuesday at home, so that will give them a chance. Islanders have to solve Wolf. That is the key, and take advantage of this bad penalty kill in order to win this hockey game. It's there. It's not easy. Don't underestimate the Calgary Flames. I know they're not a team that makes a lot of headlines, but they are a solid team, especially in goal. And let's see if they can get that job done. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day. And, Saturday will be the 48th birthday of Islanders defenseman Tom Poti. Drafted by the Oilers in the third round back in 1996, spent 2 years at BU, became an Oiler in 98-99, then played for the Rangers for 4 seasons before joining the Islanders in 2006-2007, spent 1 season on the island, had 6 goals, 44 points, and 74 penalty minutes, also picked up 3 assists in the 5-game series the Islanders played against the Sabres that year. Then went on to play for the Capitals until he hung up his skates after the 2012-2013 season. 824 games in the NHL, 69 goals, 327 points, 588 penalty minutes, add 2 goals, 19 points in 51 playoff games, including the 5 games that he played for the Isles. And Poti was more of an offensive-minded defenseman. He could add a little on the power play, good passer, good playmaker. We go back and look at one of his more memorable games as an Islander. How about October 21st, 2006? Islanders hosting the Carolina Hurricanes. John Graham, the goalie for Carolina. Rick DiPietro, DP, in goal for the Isles. And in this game, with the Islanders up 1-0, we go to the third period, and Tom Poti, our Islanders' birthday of the day, sets up Mike York for a goal that makes it 2-0 Islanders. But the next 3 goals are all scored by the Hurricanes, 2 for Justin Williams, 1 by Rod Brindamore. But the Islanders get a power play late in the period, and Mike Sillinger scores, assisted by Alexei Yashin and our Islanders' birthday of the day, Tom Poti. And then the game goes to overtime, 23 seconds into the extra session. Our Islanders' birthday of the day, Tom Poti, puts the puck into the net, his second goal of the year, assist to Yashin and Miro Shatan. Islanders beat the Hurricanes in OT by a score of 4-3, courtesy of Tom Poti, who had 1 goal, 2 assists. He scored on his only shot, and he played 25 minutes and 23 seconds in this game, which led all Islanders skaters. DiPietro with 37 saves on 40 shots faced. Islanders outshot in this game 40-25, but thanks to Tom Poti and Rick DiPietro, they get the dub. Tom Poti is our Islanders' birthday of the day.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter with the local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You can follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you can follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. Everydayers, we will be back on Monday with our key takeaways from the game against the Calgary Flames. Every game is vital now. We'll also preview Monday night's game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, so make sure you join us for that. That game may be even more critical than the Flames game because that's one of the teams the Islanders are fighting for the playoff spot. Have a great weekend, everybody. Happy spring. Stay safe. And, of course, let's go Islanders.